Hey there, Summit Kids. Thanks for joining me for Craft Time with Miss Celia. So go ahead and get those VBS kits. The things that you need out of your VBS kit are the long 2 strands of yarn. So make sure you get both of those. And the little tinkle bell. Not the jingle bells, but the little special bell. The camel bell. So today we are going to be making rope. As I was doing this, I kind of discovered a couple things that you'll also need. If you have a sibling or a parent handy, this rope making really is helpful with 2 people. But since it's just me, myself, and I am going to use a piece of tape. So you might want to grab some tape. Because you can use that, and I'll show you what you're going to use for that. You might also want to grab a sharp pencil. I say sharp because it's going to be necessary. And then also some markers. Now, I will say I did start using washable markers on our bell to make it pretty. And then I discovered that the markers were getting all on my fingers. So it wasn't staying on the bell very well. You can absolutely continue to use markers. I think the bell is pretty without coloring it, so you can leave it plain. You don't need to color it. But also I have found that if you do have some Sharpie markers, they stay a little bit better on the bell. So those are the supplies that you need. Go ahead. I'll give you 10 seconds to run and grab anything that you missed. Ready? And in this time, I am going to share with you a little bit about the history. So ropes have been around for a really long time. People use them in just about everything. One of the ways the Egyptians used it was to take reeds from alongside the banks of the river and to shred it so that it's thin strands, and then they would weave it together to make those strands stronger and so that they weren't individual. And so we're kind of going to do that today. So we're going to take those 2 strands. And again, if you're with a partner, this is great. Go ahead and use that partner. They're going to be on the other side of you, and kind of one person will hold it on this end and the other person will hold it on this end, and then you're going to wind it. But because again, it's just me, I'm going to take my piece of tape and I'm going to tape this to the table. So we'll do it where you can see it. Just going to tape the end right there onto the table so that it will hold in place. And so then what I'm going to do is going to scoot back. And what you're going to do is you're just going to wind it. Now, because they're just 2 strands, it's not a braid. It's just one over top of the other. And it's kind of nice if you sit a little further back in your chair so that you have plenty of space because it is long. And you're just going to keep going. You're just going to keep winding it. Now, these strings by themselves, this yarn, has already been wound just like this. People have big looms and tools to wind thread together so that it can make yarn or string or rope. What we're going to be doing, since it is 2 pieces of yarn together, we're making it stronger. Now, I will let you know a fair bit of warning that as you're doing this, don't pull too hard, especially, if you're with a partner, it's fine because they're holding it. But if you're just using tape like I am and you pull too hard, you're going to pull that rope right off, and then you're going to have to start from scratch. So keep that in mind. Don't pull too hard against or towards you. Just kind of keep twisting like I'm doing. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where you've reached the end and you've twisted enough. I'm going to move my chair just a little bit. Where you're out of room. Now, that doesn't mean that your rope is strong enough yet. So keep going, but instead of going up and around, like you've been doing with the strands, kind of just curving them around, then you can just pinch it between your pointer finger and your thumb, and then you can just rotate the whole thing as one. and you can keep rotating it, and you can watch it as it gets taut. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but it's being wound pretty tight. So I'm going to keep going, because what I want is I want this rope to be strong. And so that means that the tighter I wind it, the stronger it's going to be. And you'll see the colors mixed together pretty well. I have this kind of salmon pink and brown, so it looks pretty cool. But eventually what you want is for it to get tight enough where it starts to fold in on itself. And so you can see I'm not there yet, so I'm going to just keep going. And I'm using both hands just to go a little bit faster for you. Whoa, see? There goes my tape. That was a close one. All right. So I'm getting pretty close to it being as tight as I want it. Do a try, yeah. So what's going to happen now is when you go towards your other piece, towards the other end, it starts to curl up on itself. Just like that. See, it gets pretty crazy. So I'm going to untape it here. And when you first, I'm going to scoot closer. When you first put it together, sometimes it looks like that. It doesn't look much like a rope at all. And so what you do instead is you kind of have to coax it along. So I will take both ends and put them together in my one hand. So that way I'm holding on to both ends in my pointer finger and thumb. And then I'm just going to pull it together a little bit and then kind of help it along. See, and then it goes much better together. Kind of work out some of those kinks. Now, we went from having 2 strands of yarn, right, that were pretty long, to having 1 strand of rope that is really strong. Now, you're going to want to knot the end so that it doesn't come apart. So if you need help, make sure you ask your parents. But what I just do is I make a loop and thread the extra end through. And so I just pull it straight through just like that. You see it? And pull it tight so that it doesn't come apart. There we go. And then there's my rope. So now, this is where this comes in, our camel bell. Now, I love the sound that it makes. Maybe it's just me because I just love bells. But camels are super helpful. So things about, tidbits about camels. The Israelites would have had camels because they would have been wandering in the desert. And camels are desert animals. Their nickname is the desert ship, which I think is super cool. So these camels can last for long times on water. It doesn't mean that they don't need water, but what they do is they actually store up fat in their hump. That's where the hump comes into play. They store up fat in their hump so that when they do come to a time where there isn't much to eat or there isn't a lot of water, they can use all of that resources to still fuel their body. And a thirsty camel, this is incredible, but a thirsty camel who hasn't had water in a while can drink up to 25 gallons in one go. That's crazy. Also, camels are super impressive. If they, don't have regular food, they can survive on pretty much anything in the desert. So they can find tiny little shrubs, little plants that don't have much nutrients to them. They also can eat thorns. I don't know about you, but I definitely don't want to eat a thorn. But anyways, so we're going to make a little camel bell for our camel in the wilderness. So this is also where this pencil comes into handy, because what we're going to do is we're going to thread our rope through the hole in the top. Now the hole in the top is pretty small and our rope can get pretty thick. So you're going to take your pencil and you're kind of going to shove it through that hole. It just is an extra helpful tool. Now, this takes a little bit of patience and a lot of determination. So if those aren't your forte, go ahead and hand it off to someone who is. Parents are super helpful for this. Older siblings, if you have them. A neighbor. Oop. Just broke my pencil tip. That's all right. It's a sharp pencil, so it still has plenty more to go. Not gonna lie, this took me a little bit of time this morning. So it's okay if it takes you a little bit of time too. Just keep working at it. Oop, and then you'll have a little piece that will start to come out. And when you have that, if you can pinch it with your fingers and pull it, then you can get the rest through. It just takes that first pull. Ooh, I'm not doing a very good job of it this morning. Oop, I got part of the strand, not the whole one. Well, again, this takes some effort, a lot of determination, but you can get it through. I promise you, because I did it this morning. Ready for the finished product? We'll do that later. So this is what it looks like when you're all done. Look at me, I'm already impatient. Hopefully you outlast me, but you can get it through. And so what you can do once your rope is all tied like that, you can hang it on a doorknob. So that you can hear them coming and going. You can put it in your parents' car from the window up front, so it kind of just hangs there. The window up front, I mean the rear view mirror. Parents, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, you can wear it as a bracelet. You can put it on your wrist and wear it as a bracelet throughout the week for Vacation Bible School. You can also, and I love this idea, hang it outside. Let it be a wind chime, so when the wind blows it, it just jingles. So there are a lot of uses for this. Display it in your house somewhere. Show your neighbors, show your family. And I will show you, the rope is strong and good. And there's the camel bell right on top. I did get it through. I promise you I did it once. It just this time it's proving a little bit more difficult for me. So I know you can do it. Thank you for joining me for Craft Time. Again, if you're missing anything in your VBS, make sure you email me and I'll make sure to get it to you. But I love you all lots and enjoy your camel bells.